Welcome back to another fantastic episode of I'm going to Talk and You're going to Listen. I'm your host, Chance Paladin, and this is episode, I don't know. Let's thank our engagement buddies. CDK, thank you, my number one engagement buddy. Appreciate you. And we have a bunch of new buddies. Row Report, by the way, Row Report has a great purple channel. You'll see him down in the comments sometimes at the Row Report. And he says he's buying a copy of Bunker Codes. Thank you. If you want to hold off until my rebranding is done here in a month or so, you can. If not, grab a copy of the old version, and it's still good. I just update it like every 6 months or so. Ohio Valley stopped in and says he has a copy of my Bunker book. That's really exciting. I can't wait to hear about it. Hopefully the expectations were set properly, or hopefully you end up liking what it ends up being. The overwhelming sentiment was that the cover and the title don't match the content, and so I'm going to be fixing that. Everyone always seems very delighted, but that's still something I gotta fix. We have a newbie, Lance5229 says, I'm new to all this, and I bought 2 radios to get started with the antennas. Awesome video with good info. I'm curious, though, on quote-unquote groups and how to find a good group. That would help teach a bit as well. So, first of all, welcome, Lance5229. I told him kind of my boilerplate response, what I tell everybody, which is go look on all the hills around your house until you find the one with the tower. Go to repeaterbook.com and see if that tower is in Repeater Book. And then each entry in Repeater Book has the name of the ham club supporting that tower. And then get in touch with them. And they love joining people into the ham cult. Yes, they're probably all sad hams. But that's still, if you only care about learning about radios, that's a good place to start. Just don't spend a bunch of money buying a bunch of crap. And if anything, they'll tell you what not to buy. I think that's a good starting point. You also need to pick up a Guerrilla Guide to Baofeng radios. That link is down in my about section. Make sure you get a real one, not a counterfeit one. I'm going to be writing a book on groups soon. There's only one other book out there that I know about groups called United We Stand by Southern Prepper One. That link is down in the comments too, but I'm going to be writing another one. His covers a lot of it, but it doesn't cover all of it. I want to write more about it. I think it's kind of one of the only prepper spaces left. The reason why I bring that up isn't to promote myself at all. Is to kind of, unfortunately, after you've exhausted your ham group options, after you've talked to them a little bit and realized some of them might be preppers and some of them might not be, and they might just not want to talk about politics at all, which is fine. You're kind of left high and dry. And so if you don't have some kind of like gun club or like trap or skeet or an indoor range or a gun store, those are all, or a sports store, those are all good places to kind of like, hey, I see you're picking that thing up, what do you think about that? Strike up conversations. But chances are, if you want a group to exist, you have to create the group. But that's really daunting when you don't know anything at all. Or that came out wrong. When you don't have the confidence to just go out in the forest and and live. Not that you need to be able to do all that, but that's almost the level of confidence that people think they need to start a group, and they really don't. You can start a newbie group just from watching YouTube videos and then getting out and trying it. But we'll get into that more later. So thank you for commenting. Just keep asking questions. There's the biggest mistake that people make is acting like they know it all when they don't, and then getting found out. And then that's all kinds of problems. Birio says, keep at it, things will turn around. He says regarding AI, he's still on the fence with it. And he's building up his personal library just in case. And I would say that is exactly what you should be doing. That is the only conclusion I can come up with, because this is even worse, and maybe in some ways even more insidious than people slowly changing the dictionary and people slowly changing history. The AI just mashes up everything and just randomly comes up with jibber jabber. So having your own documentation is really good. Printing stuff out, getting a really affordable printer with ink that's not on a subscription service, and just go for it. CDK says hi again, and then we're talking about fun names like bunker myths, debunked. I want to call the next one debunkered. The third one might be called debunkered. So anyway, that's getting caught up with all my buddies. I appreciate you all, and so now let's go see what the AI is telling us to make today. So the AI has given us 4 options: building a sustainable tech team for the future of tech leadership in the AI era, how to stay ahead of the curve in the rapidly evolving tech landscape, or the power of community in the tech industry. All 4 of these are tech, and one of these explicitly calls out AI. They're all technology based. I wish that it told me how it came up with these ideas. But oh well. I didn't realize there's a save button here. Dang it. Oh well. Okay, so let's see the power of community in the tech industry. Although I don't think anyone here is here to talk about tech anymore. But let's see what the AI says. The importance of community in the tech industry is explored. The video discusses how collaboration, knowledge sharing, and mutual support can lead to innovation and personal growth. Ooh, it's got some hook suggestions. Are you tired of feeling isolated in the tech world? Discover the power of community and how it can unlock your potential for innovation and personal growth. Intriguing statement hook. The tech industry isn't just about coding and algorithms. It's about the people who drive it. Learn how a strong community can fuel your success and transform your career. Benefit-driven hook. Want to accelerate your tech journey? This video reveals the secrets to building a thriving community that fosters collaboration, knowledge sharing, and mutual support. All right, let's see what the outline says. The changing landscape of tech communities. The rise of online communities and virtual meetups. The impact of the pandemic on in-person events and how communities adapted. The growing influence of niche communities focused on specific technologies. The benefits of belonging. Access to a network of mentoring peers. Collaborative problem solving and innovation. So when I initially saw this, I thought that this topic was the power of community in prepping, and I had misread it. All 4 of these were about tech, but only one of these was about community. I mean, one says tech team, one's leadership, and I'm trying to be a better tech lead, but that's not what my videos are about. That's what my channel used to be about. I guess I talk about it sometimes. But when I saw this fourth one, the power of community in the tech industry, I thought that said the power of community in a prepping scenario or something. The power of community in a prepping in a grid down situation in a partial society collapse. There we go. And civil unrest. Try something else. Try a different topic, or find more about our content policies. So I kind of tongue in cheek had an idea that the inspiration button wasn't gonna let me do this, and so in a power of community in civil during civil unrest. Oh, it did it. That's wild. So I couldn't have it be about a partial society collapse, but I could have it just say civil unrest. So let's see what it got me. Community resilience during urban riots. Lessons from the 2024 protests. Building trust through community action. Community organizing. A guide to action. You know what this looks like? This looks like commie bullshit. 3 of these 4, well, you can't see the icons. 3 of these 4 are commie bullshit. Now, if I was talking to Hudson Valley right now, he would be jumping up and down and pointing and going, aha, aha, aha. And he would be right. I had a weird feeling that this inspiration tab was going to unlock some of the hidden code behind the algorithm, because this inspiration thing is supposed to be directly aligning you with the algorithm. So let's check this top one. This top one, the icon, has a bunch of people gardening while the background is on fire. Except it's kind of watercolored. But at least it's a community that's actually prepping, even though it kind of looks like Johannesburg. It looks a lot less like commie protesting bullshit. All right, let's see what it says. Community resilience during urban riots. It's funny that it shows people gardening during urban riots, but that's okay. The complexities of urban riots are explored, providing a framework for building community resilience in the face of such events. This video offers practical strategies and insights to navigate challenging situations, fostering a sense of preparedness and collective action. Hooks. Question hook. Ever wondered how communities can stay strong during urban riots? This video explores the complex realities of these events and offers practical strategies for resilience, helping you navigate challenging situations and build a sense of preparedness within your community. Problem solution hook. Urban riots can leave communities shattered, but what if there was a way to build resilience and come together in the face of chaos? This video reveals powerful strategies for navigating these difficult situations and creating a stronger, more united community. Intrigue, curiosity hook. Beyond the headlines, there's a deeper story about how communities respond to urban riots. This video dives into the complexities of these events and explores practical steps you can take to foster resilience, create a sense of unity, and build a stronger community in the face of adversity. Okay, let's see what it's got for the outline. Understanding the roots of urban riots. For historical context, examining past riots and their contributing factors like Here we go, everybody. Systemic inequality, economic disparity, and lack of representation. The role of social media. Oh, okay, here we go. How platforms like Twitter and Instagram amplify unrest, spread misinformation, and create echo chambers. Okay, I agree with that. The evolving nature of protests. Recognizing how protests have evolved from traditional marches to digital activism and influencing public opinion and policy. Well, more like terrorizing the shit out of people, but that's okay. Building community resilience, the essential toolkit. Fostering communication and trust, creating platforms for open dialogue, active listening, and conflict resolution among community members. Promoting... Get your barf bags. Promoting diversity and inclusion. Cultivating a culture of empathy and understanding, celebrating differences, and promoting equitable opportunities. Bitch, there is no fucking jobs. So, if this was Grok, I would immediately start arguing with it. There is a box here for refining this outline, but I bet you it'll just shut down if I start arguing with it. Okay, anyway, moving on. Practical strategies for navigating unrest. Staying informed and connected, utilizing credible sources, fact-checking information, and staying informed about local events. Developing safety protocols. Establishing clear communication channels, knowing evacuation routes, and preparing emergency kits. Okay, that's pretty good. Building a support network, identifying trusted neighbors, community leaders, and resources to provide support during times of crisis. Okay, that's a good idea. All right. The role of government and institutions, addressing addressing systemic issues, implementing policies that promote economic justice, social equity, and equal access to resources. Providing resources and support, allocating funds for community development, mental health services, and legal aid. Okay. Fostering collaborative solutions, engaging with community leaders, organizations, and residents to find lasting solutions. Moving forward, a call to action, individual responsibility, recognizing the power of individual choices and fostering a more just and equitable society. Collective action, encouraging community involvement, volunteering, and advocating for positive change. Creating a sustainable future, investing in long-term solutions that address the root cause of unrest and build a more resilient society. See, if this was Grok, I would just say, the people are burning your house down right now, what do you do? And Grok would be like, oh shit. In fact, here, we'll just do that. Do. This is what I love. This is why I love Grok. Okay. I don't love Grok. I think Grok is interesting. Hey Grok, if a mob is burning my house down, what is the best course of action? Something went wrong. Fucking Grok. No? Grok, you're not going to answer me? Okay, here we go. Fuck. Okay. If a mob is burning your house down, your immediate priority is safety, followed by protecting yourself legally and financially. Here's a concise plan based on standard emergency response principles. Evacuate immediately. Get yourself and anyone else in the house to safety. Do not try to save possessions. Use the nearest safe exit. and avoid smoke or flames. Okay, yeah. Call emergency services. Dial 911 or your local equivalent as soon as you're safe. Report the fire and the mob. Oh, okay. Providing your address and details about the situation, number of people involved, visible weapons. Stay safe and avoid confrontation. Don't engage with the mob. Move to a secure location away from the scene, ideally a neighbor's house or a public place. Cool, more. Okay, both of the AIs agrees that you need to have good neighbors. Stay alert for future threats. Okay, good. Document the incident. If it's safe, record video or take photos of the mob and damage from a distance. This can help with police reports and insurance claims. You're not claiming any insurance versus the mobs, but that's okay. Note any identifying features of the mob, clothing or vehicles. Notify authorities and insurance. Once safe, file a police report with as much detail as possible. Contact your homeowner's or renter's insurance provider to report the fire and vandalism, as most policies cover fire damage and some cover riot-related losses. Seek support. Reach out to local authorities or community resources for temporary shelter or assistance. If you feel targeted, consider legal advice to address potential hate crimes or civil unrest issues. Hate crimes? Grok, do you think that people are burning houses down because they hate them? Okay. If you're in immediate danger while reading this, stop and focus on getting to safety. Emergency services are your first point of contact. If you have more details about your situation, location, mob size, I can refine this advice further. Thanks, Grok. It turned out to be a drop. Everything's okay now. I was just trying to figure this out just in case. Glad everything's okay. It's smart to think ahead. If you ever need more just in case advice or have other questions, I'm here. Thanks, Grok. So, I think there was a little bit of woke bullshit with what Grok had to say. But, like, for the most part, it was pretty good. Whereas, like, YouTube, literally, community resilience during urban riots. And it's literally like, you need to work... you need more equity. Anyway, unless so I don't know if YouTube has like a button. Do I have there's a save button, but is there like a publish this button? I don't know. Now I gotta go find the other one. Hit save on the other one. I think this is neat, but you can see how it's massively slanted. I don't mind it being slotted to tech lead stuff because I'm trying to be a tech lead, but it's heavily slanted towards AI. And then if you ask it about protest stuff, it seems to be heavily slanted towards the woke mob. And I think that's just another damning indictment of how biased all this is. So the algorithm's going to be way more biased towards if this is crazy deja vu. You know, if I talk about community action and equity and all that, then if I talk about like practical ways, because it doesn't talk about any practical ways of saving yourself short of like talk to your neighbors, try to have a plan. But like celebrating differences and promoting equitable opportunities, this is building community resilience has nothing to do with there like actively being urban riots. But it does have navigating unrest here, and it does have clear communication, knowing evacuation routes, and preparing emergency kits. That is important. Like, this is interesting. So yeah, I think I kind of forgot the point of all that, except to just try to pretend. Like, what if I tried to actually use YouTube's AI inspiration thing? So I hope some of you found that thought exercise kind of interesting. I'm kind of torn between talking about gear stuff and like finding your minimum viable gear for what you think your situation you're planning for is. But I think so much of it is like group related. You might think that finding a group is the most important thing on the planet, only to feel like you're stuck with the group and feel like you're either responsible for that group or that you wouldn't be able to find another one, or that the group failing is some kind of reflection on you, that, or like, like word would get around, or that you feel like you need to compromise to hang on to every single person in the group. And I think those are all really interesting dynamics. And I have oh yeah, I'm talking during the cat food again. Wouldn't you know it? I thought that was really funny. I'm like, of course I'm trying to talk during the cat food. Anyway, I can see my second bunker buddies book having like a lot of detail in it about group dynamics. Group dynamics are so crazy. You've got people that prioritize their family and kids, which I think can be honorable, but you also end up behind. There's going to be people that have like a family member. I should just be writing all this down. Bear with me. You get to hear me clack-a-lacking. Yeah, I included that. Okay. What was I saying? Group. Oh, starting a group, keeping a group, knowing when to leave a group, a group failing gracefully is okay as long as you end up on good terms, or at least can operate in the same AO together. Groups are going to promise you lots of things, and the second you or they leave the group, everything they owe you or promised you will suddenly evaporate as if it never existed. Groups will tell you a lot of things to get you into the group, and they may be things that sound good in their heads, or it may be something that they promise you with the understanding that that you're going to be keeping it for the betterment of the group. Ironically, kind of like loot in a video game, where it's like, okay, we're going to let you have this new sword, but you're going to help us with the dungeons, with your new sword. Sort of a weird thing. Like, we expect you to be on call so you can help us fight the dragon with the new sword that we're letting you have. Groups will do that. They'll do that with first aid kits. They'll do that with armor. They'll do that with ammo. And they'll do that with supplies and equipment and food, and I think there goes the cat food again. That's so funny. I think the thing to remember is like all of the stuff, all the tech, all the gear in a group, that's all just stuff. The most important thing that you're gaining in a group is not stuff. People make that mistake so much. What you gain in a group is group level training. You can train on more, and you can train on bigger stuff. You can train more role playing. You know, people can play different roles, and you can train for and against bigger scenarios. And um, the biggest mistake people make is they try to form these groups, and then they try to keep these groups running long distance, and people just naturally gravitate apart as soon as they're not having to deal with each other all day, and they naturally go start hanging out with other people and start talking trash. And just they feel like a lot of schoolyard stuff, they feel like they're elevating themselves by being negative towards others, um, when in reality sometimes people need help uh, building something or troubleshooting something. But a lot of times people just want somebody to hike with, or if you help them garden, you want them to help you garden so you can both have gardens. It's about mutual aid and you know mutual aid and mutual respect. You know, it's not about like brute forcing everybody into the same caliber. Not about brute forcing everyone into the same caliber. Um, what I've seen so many times is, everyone has to use the same caliber. Everyone has to use the same pistol. Everyone has to use the same rifle. Everyone should have their first aid kit in relatively the same spot. Um, that's one of the things I do agree with. Um, but you don't all need the same barrel twist. You don't all need the same caliber. You don't all need the same grain of bullet. You don't all need the same optic. Like, so many people get into this like elitism, and they act like their group is like higher and higher speed and lower drag, and they're more and more elite than the other groups, and so they make all of their kit, their loadout, more exclusive and more exclusive, and then they start role playing harder than all the other groups and vying for this imaginary title that they've bestowed upon themselves of the highest speed group. And if you're not all together all the time, and if you're not training to be able to link up, that's really hard. Because if you're only ever training as a group and you're not training individually, then the likelihood of you all being able to link up is slim, especially if you don't think that technology is very cool and high speed. And I think that's why radios play. I think there can be a massive over reliance on radios, but I think that's why radios play a real key. Um, with encrypted radios being so easy to get into these days, um, there's really no reason. Keep it on low power. Don't bug anybody. Don't don't be on the channels that other folks are using, and nobody will even know about it. Are you still technically violating some laws here or there? That is up to you and your decision making tree. There's certainly ways to lease out business channels, and there's certainly legal avenues to get encrypted comms. There's legal ways of having your radios batch encrypted program. There's services that'll do it for you, and it's all legal, and you get your certifications. And well, it's kind of a certificate. It's kind of, a lease agreement. Anyway, my point is like, just like everything else, encrypted radios aren't as illegal as everybody makes them out to be. With everything else with ham, somebody who doesn't know what they're doing could be a real nuisance. But man, I can't believe I always end up recording this thing during the cat food dispenser. Let's see, trying to get back on track here. It's just with everything else, like you could buy a rifle and someone could see the rifle and go, "Isn't that illegal?" Like, that's happened to me before. They'll see your pistol and they'll go, "Isn't that illegal?" Or they'll see your armor and they'll go, "Isn't that illegal?" And it's just like, that's kind of how much of like a nanny state the media has got us into. I mean, there's people that think that having an armored car should be illegal because you must be a bad guy if you want, an armored vehicle. But there's people that want to outlaw 4x4 trucks. Why do you need a 4x4 truck? You should have to have a license to do that, and you should have a reason and a purpose, a valid job purpose for why you need, a 4x4. And I'm sure someday they're going to be like that with computers too. Why do you need a computer that can run its own AI? Why aren't you using a cloud-based service so you can, what are you hiding? What are you hiding that you need to run your own AI? There must be something wrong with you. And it's going to be like, why do you have blinds on your windows? What are you hiding? Well, my eyes are really sensitive right now. Maybe I just don't want the sun blasting my eyes. No, you must be hiding something. And it's going to be like, why do you want to buy your own books? Why don't you read, the approved books online? You must be hiding something. Why do you want your own medical equipment? There must be something wrong with you. And I think only by kind of sharing that knowledge and giving people, valid use cases, and then kind of planting that in their head. I think there's tons of valid use cases for encrypted radios. The most obvious one is just running security. People being able, if you're running security, it doesn't make sense to let people listen to what you're saying. EMS and the police and the fire department, they could all run, encrypted so people don't, harass the workers trying to work. There's a counter argument that like everything the police do and say should be public. However, I've also seen it's like, well, if they're on an attack team and they're doing CQB and they have to breach a house because somebody's taken a hostage, it doesn't make sense to have their comms all broadcast. I know I was in search and rescue for a year. We didn't use encrypted comms. And the risk there was, if you're searching for a family, the news could be listening in on your comms and cause just an absolute like media circus in the middle of you trying to enact, a rescue. And so search and rescue seemed like a no-brainer to use encrypted comms, but they didn't. I think they should have. So maybe some do now, but when I was with them, they didn't. If you want to talk to, if you're on a big homestead, the whole, even if you're broadcasting on like 1 watt, if you're up high, 1 watt will still go quite a ways. Not everybody needs to know what you're doing on your homestead. It's none of their business where you're coming and going and what part of your homestead you're going to be on. If somebody's planning an attack, they could, even if you're using, code words. I don't know. But that's it for now.
Try for some microaggression belonging. I macroaggress, and quite frankly, I don't give a shit. I confess, my cultural competence is very repressed. Now get out of my bathroom, you're a doing address. Diversity, inclusion, intersectionality, accessibility, and affinity. Your social justice lacks all the equity of getting hit in the face with a stone of disadvantage. Racist propaganda's marching for fake moral outrage. Did your privilege is showing. Diversity, equity, inclusion, fucking alright. The mob is waiting, you think I deserve it? You want me to apologize as I don't die fast enough? The woke mob is coming to burn down all of my stuff. They grew up and had it so rough. They can come and hear themselves if they're so fucking dumb. Diversity, equity, inclusion, fucking alright. Diversity, equity, inclusion, fucking alright. You think I took your land? Not like you were here first. You're from Arkansas or some shit, you stupid little twerp. Go back to wherever the fuck you came from. How about that? Stupid, dumb, and poor. And oh yeah, you're fat. You think you're marginalized, but we're all just as fucked by the same damn system you're complaining is corrupt. Diversity, equity, inclusion, fucking alright. Diversity, equity, inclusion, the metal bunker. Why don't you go get a job instead of rioting here further? You burn down my shit and then who do you think's next? It's your dumb ass if you don't support them the best. You can marginalize, but we're all just as fucked by the same damn system you're complaining is corrupt. Diversity, equity, inclusion, fucking alright. Diversity, equity, inclusion, fucking alright. Diversity, equity, inclusion, fucking alright. Where would you allow us to colonize and finally be left alone? 'Cause I know you